about Tim Russert? How credible a witness is he?
Well, I thought he was very credible. I think most people thought he was very credible. But it's a funny thing when you know, there were a few people who thought, no, that he probably had that conversation. So for purposes of arguing that point, we spent, I don't know, a day and a half assuming it was true. At one point, I raised an objection or something and about, you know, no, I can't go with that because of X. And somebody in the jury said, wait a minute, you said you don't believe they had the conversation. So, you know, you do get kind of caught up in making arguments for or against something just to help the process along.
What about the Judy Miller testimony? Did you find that to be credible? Did you find it to be important at all?
The Judy Miller testimony was important. I mean, again, we had so many conversations that somebody would say, I don't know, her memory was terrible, and then somebody would say, yeah, whose wasn't? I mean, it was an incredibly show, this whole trial, about just how hard it is to remember things, you know. But the fact that she was so insistent, or said that she admitted she had a bad memory and that she relied so much on notebooks, the fact that she had the notebook entries was, you know, I think it carried a lot of weight. And I think in a way she got badgered, you know, by the defense a little bit, and I think it created some sympathy for her among jurors. You know, a few said things like, "Oh, boy, they really hit on her," but I think she seemed nice or something like that. You know.
Can you tell us about the not guilty count? Which count it was and why you found not guilty?
I don't really like to say this, but the Cooper count, it was on the conversation with Mr. Cooper and his version of what was said and Mr. Libby's version of what was said, okay?
And was it the perjury or the obstruction of justice?
False statement,
False statement of the FBI.
yeah.
So what was the reaction?
So let me just finish this, okay? And the evidence that that he had said, oh yeah, I heard that too, came from Mr. Cooper, and in some part to Kathy Martin, because she had said she was listening to the phone call from one end, but she also said she went away to make another phone call, so that diminished her importance. But Mr. Cooper, so it was basically his word against Mr. Libby's word. Now, so what's the evidence that we saw that maybe favored one or the other? If Mr. Cooper had gotten a affirmation of that information, it seemed unusual that he wouldn't have put that. He had already heard it from Rove, so this would have been his second confirmation. He would have put it in the story he wrote that day. That's one thing. Secondly, he had nothing in the notes about it, so there was no evidence there. There was that kind of trick thing about the sentence. I don't know if you're not familiar with it, you have to look it up, but you know, if he had said, yeah, the Wilson thing, but I'm not ever sure blank. Now, Wells did that, took a lot of time to say if this letter was this and this letter was that, and you know, it was not convincing. But it weighed about 6 ounces. And when you looked at that line and you looked at what could it be, the fact that Cooper didn't know what it was, you know, it was reasonable doubt.
Dennis,